Good morning. Good morning. Today we're going to take a look at XRP, some dominance structures for XRP against the overall markets, a little bit of gold, and some Sigma coin. So, all right, we've got ourselves XRP, right? We've been watching and tracking this triangle that we've been building on the 4-hour here USD pairing off of Coinbase. And we've got ourselves a few indicators here. We got our VWAP, which right now this estimated trend line is coinciding right here with the +1 deviation, which is 64% away from that line. So we're moving back up to the fair market value midline. There's a larger fib move here that's probably our first resistance point at 314. And then we're just trying to see if we can get a squeeze to the upside here of this overall range before having to come back down and back test for an E leg and then move higher. Now, there is a thought that possibly this may be our completion of the triangle right here. So we'll talk more about that right now, but that's basically what we're looking at on the USD pairing. Okay, jumping over to the Bitcoin pairing, this is the one that makes me think that we may in fact already be experiencing the completion of this E wave for the triangle. And for the triangle component, we have an ABC down, up, another ABC down, another one up, and another one down that comes up short generally right here. And we have this overall wedge pattern on the Bitcoin dominance that basically you can argue is being worked on as a back test depending on where you want to draw your line at there. So the fact that it kind of looks like it's already exceeded and breaking in depending on where this falls, do you use the candles or the wicks and what time frame, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, that's what it's looking like at this point, that we've already deviated outside of this triangle on the Bitcoin dominance, which would mean XRP is now actually going to outperform Bitcoin moving onward with the completion of a larger triangle move, that when we zoom out even further, we can see that we had our ABC correction, a 5-wave impulse, and then this large overall ABC triangle played out here on the dominance structure, closing all the gaps. Okay, so definitely leads me to be bullish at this point. When we jump over to the XRP Ethereum dominance, similar story, another completion of the 5 waves to the upside. So if we zoom out a little bit further, you can see we've got ourselves the 5-wave move off the lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 was a rising wedge, right? So there's your rising wedge. We end up getting our A leg to the downside. So we did our fib-based, trend-based fib to measure the ABC. And in doing so, we know that our target area for this larger ABC macro view takes us down into this, potentially down here, to this equal measured move of 1, but it looks like we might be front running it with the supply that's here at this region right now. So that's also great. Oh, actually, let's put that on log. There we go. That's looking more right. There we go. So now that this is on log, you can see that we are actually probably almost to that 1 level. And if we do a count here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rolls up to 2. So that's 1, 2. Then this will be your 3, 4, and 5. And generally, these 5th wave moves tend to have a 5-wave down as well. So if we're zoomed in here, this is that completion of this final leg, right, that we're moving through. In here, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there's a roll up that's kind of happening in here, and generally that sets 1 more low. So realistically, against Ethereum, I would expect that we have 1 more small low that comes into play, where that means Ethereum ends up outperforming XRP in the short term. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And we have 1 more push down here like that. For anybody who's familiar with the, this kind of view, you would have just, again, that wave 1, 2, and then right here you can see that's wave 3. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you come up to wave 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this could be 4, and then that rolls over and gives us that 5. So wouldn't be surprised if we get that. Now, obviously, if we just break out of here, that's fine too, and we front ran the excitement where XRP is now going to outperform Ethereum, right? So we have, to recap, we have XRP itself reflecting a potential triangle breakout that it's working through right now, okay, as it's getting ready to break out and move to the top of the range and back down again. Then you have your overall Bitcoin dominance, where we have the XRP Bitcoin pairing has the chart already playing out where it's breaking out and moving up top of the wedge pattern, getting ready to outperform Bitcoin. And then finally, we have the XRP Ethereum chart where there may be one more flush where Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin or XRP, and then XRP will then outperform Ethereum, completing this larger ABC move back down into supply. So all of that is to say that we are close to this market being able to push higher, and we're watching here now on the short-term time frames a completion of a mini triangle here and a potential wave 1, wave 2 of this fifth wave playing out to take us up to the top of this range here. So that's where my trade is currently at this point in time. Jumping over to Sigma Coin, we can see the same type of concept is playing out here. It's starting to perform better. So we came all the way down, almost hit this 886, didn't. So this is yet again front ran the 886. Acquisition occurred, another kind of small correction, and this lines up with the expectation that we're probably right into this zone right here, playing around with this kind of concept of this back test before we march higher. And you can see that right here shown as this correction move to up and down, and there you are again. Oops, sorry, wrong one. There you are again with this kind of up and down move to the upside. So Sigma's just continuing its march. I just think we're looking great, and you can see where this is just way down here on that first bounce. And if we go back to this, that's way down here on this first bounce. So I think we're like right here getting ready to do this on Sigma next, which is very, very fun because it's going to just keep going and going and going. So anyway, so that's the excitement that I'm seeing there, and that would coincide with XRP's outperformance on the USD and the also outperformance on the Bitcoin and XRP pairing along with the Ethereum pairing. So I think it's about to be XRP time here real soon. Time-wise, it's all the setups are there. The counts are complete. We're outside the wedge on this Bitcoin move. And it's really just going to be a matter of when now at this point for us to break to the upside. So hopefully that was helpful. And that's kind of how I'm looking at the markets. And actually, before we finish, the one last thing I wanted to point out was gold. And so with gold, we have the similar type of structure happening, but in opposite. So we had a breakout, an ABC correction for a wave 1 or an A leg. Then we've done this massive triangle for a B leg, and it's now completing its E move. So assuming that was the high for E, or maybe we go a little bit higher, we'll just kind of play that out when we get there. With this completion of this move, we could see gold, let's say that was the top, come back down to $3,000 from $3,300. And the reason this would happen is very similar to what we did with Bitcoin, where we would actually see the A leg, an ABC, a B leg for this triangle, and then we would have another ABC structure come into play here, where we would have this kind of move down here to our target, and then this would happen as assets such as cryptocurrency have a risk on move, and then this does give us the opportunity to have a final leg up for gold, which then eventually crypto would follow as well, as risk tends to become off-putting again when we have a rise in the gold price. So basically seeing a inverse pattern on gold with its ability to come back down to this level, and that would wrap up its corrective move before marching higher on its overall trend. So hopefully that was helpful, and just a good look into the market itself. And I'm just excited for our next leg up, which I anticipate will occur here in the next few days. And realistically, we may be wrapping this up by Friday, getting up to the top of this range of the wedge with the dollar version of XRP. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.